Some mistakes seem so small, like pressing the wrong number in the dead of night, yet they carry the power to tilt the universe of two lives. A desperate message sent through tears never reached a father's phone, but instead landed in the heart of a stranger, a man who had everything but love. And from that instant, two lost souls collided only to discover that what they had been searching for all along was not hidden in wealth or titles, but in the gentleness of a glance, a message, a second chance gifted by fate. The alarm clock screeched its sharp cry, tearing through the fragile mist of a dream. 4:30 in the morning, in a small town on the eastern seaboard, and in the cramped attic room of a weathered wooden house, Lily Harper jolted awake as if dragged out of deep water. She blinked her pale gray eyes that once shone bright, but now bore the bruised shadows of exhaustion. Every morning was a mountain to climb, pulling herself from the sheets, dragging her dreams alongside her, hoping today wouldn't weigh heavier than yesterday. The room she shared with her younger sister allowed no illusions. Family photographs crowded the peeling walls. Medical textbooks rose in little towers beside unfinished sketches taped with clear plastic, her sister's artwork waiting to be seen. In the cracked mirror, Lily met her own reflection, warm brown skin, dulled by fatigue, wild curls tied into a loose bun. At 22, she already carried the weariness of someone twice her age, worn thin by endless shifts, sleepless nights and dreams always just out of reach. She slipped into her cafe uniform, white shirt, dark trousers fabric, frayed by years of sacrifice. Every loose thread whispered of choices, made books instead of new clothes. Before leaving, she paused by her parents' door, listening to the steady breath of her father, asleep after another night shift, and the fragile sigh of her mother. They had traded every small belonging, every hour of strength, for her dream of becoming a doctor. That morning, the first chill of autumn brushed against her as she pulled her old coat tight and walked the 15 blocks to town. Each paving stone, each corner was familiar, silent companions on her daily pilgrimage. The cafe on the corner was already glowing, the scent of roasted beans drifting into the cool air, mixing with the sweetness of freshly baked pastries. Late again, her manager's voice cut through before she could tie her apron. Cole, 35, with eyes as cold as winter glass, seemed to thrive on belittling his staff. Lily had learned to meet his disdain with composure. She glanced at the clock and said gently, "Actually, I'm 3 minutes early today, sir." She recorded every detail. She couldn't afford wages docked unfairly. Cole's lips curled into a sneer. "Don't get clever. Just do your job. Don't mess up." Her bite of anger was swallowed down, hidden behind steady hands as she worked the espresso machine, steamed milk-wiped tables. For 2 years, she had endured this, surviving on $300 a week, plus weekend library shifts, her fragile raft, floating toward the distant shore of medical school. Yet, even among the grind, there were sparks of light. The old man with silver hair, who told stories of his late wife over black coffee, the student who whispered a weary thank you during exam season. Tiny flickers of humanity that kept her heart from dimming. By 11, the rush had eased. An elderly woman approached the counter, fumbling with her bag. Mrs. Henderson, 78, usually sharp-minded, now trembled with worry. "I can't find my purse," she whispered. "I already ordered." Lily's smile was immediate. "Don't worry, it's on me today. And here, take an extra pastry. It'll do you good." She slipped her own tip money into the till, wrapped the order with care. Tears welled in Mrs. Henderson's eyes. "You're an angel." But Cole had seen. He stormed over, fingers clamping down on Lily's arm. "What do you think you're doing? She's a regular. She forgot her wallet. I paid with my tips," Lily replied, voice calm, though her heart raced. "This is business, not charity," Cole spat. "You don't get to make those decisions. You're just a coffee girl who thinks she's better than the rest because she's in college." The words cut deep. Every sleepless night, every missed meal, every sacrifice. Not for herself, but for her family, for people like Mrs. Henderson, dismissed in one cruel sentence. She lifted her chin, voice trembling but edged with steel. Sometimes being human matters more than following the rules. She's been loyal for 3 years. I was only being kind. The cafe fell silent. All eyes turned. Cole's face burned red. "You're fired," he hissed. "Get out, and don't expect a reference." The word fired struck her like a blow. This job wasn't just money, it was her lifeline. Without it, the final tuition payment, due in 3 months, would vanish like smoke. She untied her apron and laid it on the counter. Her co-workers' eyes followed her, heavy with sympathy, heavy with fear for themselves. Lily walked out with her head high. But once the door closed behind her, the armor cracked. 2 blocks later, she sank against a brick wall, sliding down until the cold pavement met her. Numbers spun in her head like a storm. Tuition deadline, tomorrow, 5 p.m. Amount needed, seat 8, $400. Balance, $237. Parents, already exhausted every loan, every asset, no way back. Her hands shook as she unlocked her phone, her father's name glowing on the screen. He had juggled 3 jobs: delivery driver by day, warehouse at night, office cleaning on weekends. Her mother working as a caregiver, cleaning houses in between. They had given up everything for her. What could she possibly say now? Tears splashed onto the glass. 29 hours until her dream would die, unless a miracle appeared. She began to type the hardest message of her life, an apology for being a burden, a confession about losing her job, for standing up for someone vulnerable, the looming deadline, the impossible amount. I love you both so much. I'm sorry for everything. I just want the person who loves me to know I tried my best. Her finger hovered. Her heart sank heavy as stone. Then she pressed send. The message flew into the dark, carrying the last fragile thread of hope. Lily buried her face in her hands, sobs breaking loose like a dam collapsing. 3,000 miles away, in a glass office high above Boston, Lucas Bennett leaned back in his leather chair, staring out at a city that glittered without warmth. 30 years old, master of a vast tech empire, with more money than he could ever spend, and eyes as empty as the skyline. His phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number appeared. Dad, I'm sorry. He almost ignored it, but then he opened it, and in that moment, his life changed. Lucas Bennett sat in the glass-cornered office on the 42nd floor, where Boston's skyline stretched before him like a distant painting. His sharp jawline, his steel blue eyes. These had graced magazine covers, and every time he appeared in public stocks, surged. Yet none of that glory meant anything today. Behind the frosted pane, a boardroom buzzed with men in expensive suits, their voices droning about quarterly forecasts and market expansions. Their words had blurred into a low hum hours ago. Figures shuffled across screens, multi-million-dollar deals tossed around like lifeless puzzle pieces. They longed for his nod, his approval, but not one of them truly knew him. Lucas's childhood had been confined within the walls of sterile boarding schools, while his parents built their empire. They gave him trust funds instead of bedtime stories, financial reports instead of affection. He had inherited their business acumen, but none of their warmth. Surrounded by wealth, he had grown up impoverished in the only way that mattered. Women sought his fortune, men courted his influence. How could he ever believe in sincerity when everyone around him had an agenda? His phone buzzed. He nearly dismissed it. A dull email, no doubt. But the words on the screen made him pause. Dad, I'm sorry. An unknown number. He opened the message, line after line, his breath caught. And by the end, something inside his chest cracked open. This was not the language of business, nor a carefully crafted pitch. It was raw. A young woman pouring her fear. Her heartbreak, her breaking dream into a message meant for her father. Every word landed like a tap against the hardened surface of his heart. Lucas read it once, twice, a third time. The pain seeped through the screen alive, as if it were unfolding right there in his office. Somewhere out there was a girl watching her dream collapse despite working harder than anyone in that boardroom. A girl who had stood up for what was right and lost everything because of it. Everything we've sacrificed. The words clung to him. When had anyone ever sacrificed for him without expecting something in return? When had he last seen a dream fed by perseverance rather than greed? Mr. Bennett, the board is waiting on your decision about Beijing. His assistant prompted. Lucas raised his gaze to the faces before him. Men who would gladly trample their own mothers for a single % of profit. Then he looked back at his phone. One desperate message. One girl who had lost everything simply because she had chosen kindness. "Excuse me, I need to step out." He rose. Confusion rippled through the room, but he didn't care. For the first time in months, something mattered more than numbers. In his private office, he sat at his desk and opened his banking app. His finger hovered above the screen as he reread the message. $8,400. Less than a single lavish dinner for him. A trivial sum, yet it was her entire world. Lily Harper, her name revealed in the signature. Her words had dragged him back to the boy he once was, crying himself to sleep in a dormitory crushed by the weight of abandonment. He had built an empire, yet his heart was still empty. Success by every measure, except the one that mattered most. He had convinced himself that loneliness was the price of greatness. But in her message he glimpsed the love he'd craved all his life. Simple, unconditional, uncalculated. "I just want the person who loves me to know I tried my best." He whispered it aloud. Who had ever loved him just for trying? Who had ever been proud of him simply for being himself? Lucas inhaled, entered the bank details from her message, and typed in 8,400. His finger hovered over confirm. Reason screamed that he was mad, sending money to a stranger on the basis of a missent text. The board would suspect him. His lawyers would rage. But for once he ignored reason. He listened to his heart. The part of him that was tired of a world where everything had a price but nothing had value. He pressed. The transfer went through. Relief spread through him. Not the hollow triumph of a billion-dollar deal, but a quiet, glowing contentment. Somewhere, a dream had been saved. Someone deserving had been given a chance. Not because they could repay him, but simply because they needed it. He leaned back, staring again at the skyline. The steel and glass towers no longer looked like monuments to isolation, but like windows to connection. For the first time in months, he was curious about what might come next. Money couldn't buy happiness. He had always believed that. But perhaps it could buy hope for someone. And perhaps that was worth even more. He saved her number, promising himself he would never use it. Just one impulsive act. Yet something inside him stirred a hunger to know more about the girl who had written with such love and pride. Far away, Lily Harper had barely slept, wrestling with her anxiety through the night. The clock marched ever closer to the deadline. At dawn, her phone buzzed, a banking notification. She almost ignored it, expecting another reminder of her dwindling balance. But when she looked, her heart stopped. $8,400, credited 11:23 p.m. She rubbed her eyes, convinced it was a mistake. But the number still glowed bright as a miracle. "Oh, God," she whispered, hands trembling. She ran into the living room, heart pounding. Had her father done this? Had he borrowed yet again, sacrificed something more? Gratitude and guilt tangled in her chest. When Mr. Harper emerged in his delivery uniform, Lily flung herself into his arms, sobbing. "Dad, thank you. I don't know how, but you saved my dream." He froze, bewildered. "Sweetheart, I don't understand. I didn't have that money." She stepped back, showing him her phone. "But it's here. Last night, 11:23. He studied the screen, then shook his head slowly. "I don't even know how to transfer that much. And even if I did, we don't have it." The words struck her like ice water. If not her father, then who? She opened the message again, and her stomach dropped as she spotted the cruel truth: she had typed the wrong number. Her desperate plea had never reached her father, but a stranger. And that stranger had sent her $8,400. Lily collapsed onto a chair, face pale. "Oh no, I sent it to the wrong person. A stranger saved me." Her father sat beside her, taking her hand. "We have to send it back." "I know," she whispered, her heart twisting like a blade. Returning it meant losing her dream all over again. But she could not keep what wasn't hers. She had been raised to know what was right. With shaking fingers, she keyed in the refund, then began to write the hardest message of her life, an apology, an admission of her mistake, and gratitude for a kindness so extraordinary it felt impossible. "Thank you for showing such kindness to a stranger, but I cannot and will not accept money that isn't mine. I'm truly sorry for troubling you. Please forgive my mistake." Lily reread the message 3 times, weighing each word, so it carried humility and gratitude without sounding like a sly plea to keep the money. At last, she pressed send. Her phone hit the coffee table with a dry little knock. She leaned into her father's shoulder, shame stinging her eyes. "You did the right thing," Mr. Harper said, squeezing her hand. "I'm proud you sent it back. I know how much that hurts." Lily nodded, her throat tight. Doing the right thing can feel like lifting a piece of your own heart out and watching it shiver in your palm. She was back at the starting line. Worse, really, because now she'd exposed her most fragile self to a stranger who had done nothing but try to help. 3,000 miles away, Lucas's morning was unusually calm. He'd slept well for the first time in weeks, waking with the giddy unease of an invisible appointment he didn't want to miss. He was skimming reports beside a cup of black coffee when his phone buzzed a bank alert. "Lily Harper has refunded your transfer in full." He stared at the screen, unbelieving. In his world, money flowed one way. People asked to borrow, pitched investments, petitioned for sponsorships. Rarely did anyone return something he had freely given. He read the notice again. Then her follow-up appeared, polite, steady, apologetic. Beneath its careful restraint, he heard the same midnight voice he'd heard before, brave, honest, unwilling to bargain away her dignity. Lucas smiled, for the first time in weeks, and began to type, placing each word like stones along a newly opened path. "Don't apologize. Your message last night was the most genuine thing I've read in years. I sent the money because I wanted to help someone who deserves it, not because I had to. The hardship will pass. How you face it is what tells me who you are. Please keep the money. When it feels right, when you're ready, pass it on to someone who needs it. For now, focus on your dream." He paused, then let a truer breath in. "I was lost once too. I know what it feels like when nobody believes in you. Sometimes we need someone to believe for us while we're still learning to believe in ourselves." He hit send before caution could tug him back. Strangely, a few lines to a stranger stripped away a layer of armor he'd worn so long it had felt like skin. 20 minutes later, Lily was slicing onions to help her mother in the kitchen when her phone buzzed. She almost ignored it. Surely just another transaction receipt. But curiosity pried her hand from the knife. She read, and her chest tightened. "Mum," she called softly, eyes wide. "You should see this." Mrs. Harper wiped her hands and leaned over her daughter's shoulder. When she reached the words, "Please keep the money," both of them fell quiet. "He wants you to keep it," her mother whispered, joy and worry braided together in her voice. I can't," Lily said, though her heart raced, terrified to miss what felt like her one departing train. "I'm not used to taking from someone I've never even met." "My love," her mother murmured, cupping Lily's cheek. "Sometimes angels wear trilbies and walk down city streets, leaving their footprints in a bank transfer." She smiled. "He asks for nothing. He only wants you to continue." Lily read the message again, lingering on. "I was lost once too." She found herself picturing a man in a glass tower, encircled by cold meetings, and still he remembered the shape of loneliness. Perhaps that was why he'd opened his wallet before he could close his heart. For the first time since yesterday's storm, something other than despair flickered to life. One small spark called hope, with curiosity sitting right beside it. She typed, "I don't know what to say, except thank you, not just for the money, but for your words. It's been a long time since anyone told me they believed in me. I promise I'll pass this good forward when I can. And one day when I'm Dr. Harper, I'll prove your faith wasn't misplaced. May I know your name? I'd like to thank my guardian properly." This time she didn't set the phone face down. She held it in her palm like a small bird that had finally dared to rest there. An hour later, the chime arrived. "I'm Lucas, and I believe you'll be a wonderful doctor, Lily. I can feel it." Just one line, and Lily's heart tipped. Her name under those fingers suddenly felt strangely familiar, as if someone had quietly taped a nameplate to the door of her life. "Thank you, Lucas. What do you do? I'd like to picture the person who saved my dream." The reply came more slowly, as if the sender were measuring the edge of his comfort zone. "I work in technology and investing. Nothing as noble as medicine. What made you choose that path?" Lily leaned against the headboard, hugging a pillow to her chest. "When I was 12, my grandmother had a stroke. The doctor in the ER. She was brilliant and gentle. She held my hand and explained everything in words I could understand. She saved my grandmother, but more than that, she made me less afraid, less helpless. I want to be that person for another family. That's beautiful, Lucas wrote back. Your grandmother was lucky to have you beside her. She passed away last year, Lily typed, surprised at how easily she poured herself out to a stranger. But I think she'd be proud. She used to say, I had healing hands. I'm so sorry, Lucas answered, and I'm sure she is proud. What's the hardest part of med school? And so, the conversation opened like a window. From lectures to part-time shifts, from family to the future, each message laid a little footbridge between two worlds that didn't touch on any map, and yet met at the softest place in the heart. Is tech exciting? Lily asked late one night. It must be amazing to help drive innovation. Sometimes, Lucas admitted. But sometimes I feel like I'm solving problems nobody needs solved, making the rich richer, inventing fixes for issues that only exist because we have too much money and not enough purpose. Your work. It saves lives. Technology connects people, Lily replied. It gives them access to information and chances. That saves lives too in its own way. A pause. Then I hadn't thought of it like that. You have a gift for finding the good. And you have a gift for catching people right before they fall, she wrote, smiling to herself. The days that followed moved to the rhythm of classes and messages. In the mornings, his hello met her first cup of tea. At lunch, she snatched a moment to recount her rotation. At night, he asked what had made her day worth living. Each small buzz was a warm knock at the door from a faraway city asking, Are you okay today? One evening, Lucas wrote, Do you ever feel guilty about your success? Like you don't deserve it when so many people are still struggling. Lily paused, then typed, Do you feel that way? Every day, he confessed, most of my opportunities were inherited. Yours? You fought for every scrap. You may have been selfish with your opportunities, Lily wrote slowly, but you chose to help. Choosing is the hard part. And you chose kindness. She hit send, and for a breathless moment, they both sat quiet at opposite ends of a glowing thread, listening as some small door somewhere swung softly open. That was a choice, not an accident, Lily typed. Keep talking like this and I'll start believing I'm a good person. You are a good person, Lucas replied. Your words are honest. The way you ask, the way you listen, all the way to the end of an answer. When was the last time someone told you that you're good? Lily asked. A long pause. Honestly, I can't remember. Something pinched in Lily's chest. Beneath the generosity and the gloss of success, Lucas was as lonely as she was desperate. She had a house full of love and too few chances. He had chances to spare and starve for a real connection. Then let me say it, now, Lily wrote, her fingers trembling. You're kind, perceptive, generous, and astonishingly easy to talk to. Anyone who has you in their life is lucky, including one brilliant med student who's about to change the world. She stared at the message, heart hammering. Was she flirting? A spark crackled through her veins. Thrilling and a little terrifying. Especially that girl, Lucas answered, tossing another spark. Lucas, I know this is crazy, but it feels like I've been waiting my whole life to talk to someone like this. To talk to you. Lily's breath snagged. She read the line 3 times, and each time her heart fell a little deeper. She was falling for a man she'd never met, never heard, never seen, only known through letters of light on a screen. It isn't crazy, she typed, hands unsteady. I feel it too. As if you understand parts of me, I haven't learned to understand myself. I want to know everything about you. Your favorite color, what makes you laugh, what you dream before you sleep. I want to know it all. Blue, he replied, sea blue just before sunset, and you make me laugh. Your dry little jokes, how you pretend you're not funny when you are. And lately, I dream about meeting you. You dream of meeting me. Too blunt. Perfect, because I dream of meeting you. They stayed up until 3 in the morning, passing confessions and wishes, sweet memories and deepest fears. Lucas told her he played piano when he was tense, that he'd never truly been in love, that sometimes he felt he was living someone else's life. Lily admitted she sang in the shower, made the worst coffee in the world, despite 2 years at a cafe, and that her laugh, handled correctly, could light a small town. I have something to confess, Lucas wrote near dawn. Go on. I've never felt about anyone the way I'm starting to feel about you, and we haven't even met. Lily's heart flew and fell at once. How do you love someone you've never seen? How do you build anything real on messages and midnight truths? Me too, she wrote honestly. I'm scared of how much I'm hoping. You're the first thought when I wake and the last before I sleep. Then maybe it's time we meet. Lily stared at the words. Part of her wanted to say yes now, to give a face to the voice that had rooted itself in her heart. Another part panicked. What if the magic on the screen couldn't survive the daylight? What if he was disappointed by her? What if reality walked in and everything shattered? She typed slowly, but I'm scared. What of losing this? Right now everything feels perfect. What if we meet and it breaks? Nothing can break what we have, and I think you'll be surprised, in the best way. You really want to meet me? More than anything, Lily closed her eyes and drew a breath. Love requires courage. Med school had taught her that the most precious things always ask for risk. All right, she wrote. Let's meet. Really? But somewhere public? I may be smitten, but I'm not foolish. Smart and beautiful. I am a lucky man. You think I'm beautiful, even though you haven't met me. I can tell from everything you write. Your beauty moves from the inside out. Tears glittered at the corners of Lily's eyes, this time from joy. In a handful of weeks, this strange man had become essential to her happiness. She was about to meet the man who had saved her dream and stolen her heart, and she had no idea the meeting would tilt her world on a brand new axis. On the morning of their date, Lily changed 4 times before settling on a navy dress that skimmed just so, making her eyes deepen like a lake before wind. She let soft curls fall over her shoulders and wore just enough makeup to honor her gentlest lines. Her hands trembled as she smoothed the last gloss over her lips. Rose and Rye, Arts District 2. PM Lucas texted early. I'll be the nervous guy in the corner, checking his phone every 30 seconds. How will I recognize you? You'll know. The cafe had exposed brick local art and the sugar butter smell of pastries drifting like a warm song. Lily arrived 15 minutes early, heart pounding. A few couples murmured at small tables. A woman typed in the corner. An old man read the paper by the window. No Lucas. She ordered a latte she didn't touch and sat by the window, eyes glued to her screen. What if he didn't come? What if this was a trick? At exactly 2, the bell over the door chimed, and the world tilted by a degree. The man who stepped in was nothing like she'd pictured, and exactly what she'd hoped, tall, broad-shouldered in a charcoal sweater, dark hair a little mussed, as if combed by his hands. When he scanned the room, she saw the gray-blue eyes she had imagined 100 times. It wasn't just his looks. It was the quiet confidence in the way he moved, the way his gaze read between the lines in the room, and the quick smile that tugged at his mouth when their eyes found each other. Lucas stopped dead. Her warm brown skin caught the honey of afternoon light. Her amber eyes held intelligence, kindness, and something that cinched his chest. For several heartbeats, they simply looked the air between them, crackling as if it carried sparks. He walked over. Lily stood. Face to face, the intensity of the moment almost overflowed its edges. Lily, he said. His voice was low and warm, with a soft rasp that raised goosebumps along her arms. Lucas, she whispered. The way his name left her lips made him draw a steadying breath, an urge rising to touch her cheek, just to prove she was real. He stopped, laughed under his breath. You're even more beautiful than I imagined. Heat climbed Lily's cheeks. You say that like you've imagined me a lot. Every day, he said without hesitation. Every single day. She laughed, a bright piano riff of a sound, and his heart skipped a beat. We should sit down before we cause a scene. Yes, Lucas said, pulling out her chair. The unstudied courtesy slid another small piece of Lily's heart into his palm. As he sat, he reached for his coffee and toppled the sugar jar. White crystals scattered like early snow. Graceful, he muttered, flushing as he tried to gather them. Lily burst out laughing, and somehow his clumsiness became the loveliest part of the afternoon. You know, for a tech tycoon, you're very human. Lucas's hand stilled. Tycoon. I may have Googled you, Lily admitted, coloring. Lucas Bennett Holdings, famously philanthropic. Wikipedia doesn't do you justice. He exhaled, half amused, half exposed. I only feared you'd discover my secret passion for truly terrible reality TV. Oh, that's not on Wikipedia, Lily teased. What's your guilty pleasure? Island of Lovebirds, City Housewives, or the baking one? Lucas wrinkled his nose and confessed, my culinary repertoire is limited to cereal with milk. But I can give a 15-minute talk on chocolate tempering technique. Lily's laughter rang out, enough to coax a smile from the old man by the window. Outside, the street went on as always. Inside, two people laid their offerings on the table, their caution and their trust. And perhaps, while the sugar still sparkled across the wood, something new began. That sound is like hitting the jackpot, Lucas said, when he heard her laugh, half joking, half true. Adorable. I wouldn't have guessed. What about you? Any secret addictions to declare? K-dramas, Lily confessed, blushing. I've cried over fictional characters so much that Zoe, my sister, says I'm a bit unhinged. You have a sister, Zoe, 17, 1,000 times cooler than me. She wants to be a director. At the mention of family, Lily's face lit up. Lucas felt himself fall deeper into the warm brown of her eyes, the kind that always opened onto a home. Tell me about Zoe, Lucas said, leaning back, his voice softening. Tell me about all of them. And Lily did. She spoke of her fierce, good-hearted little sister, of a father with 3 jobs and an optimism that wouldn't budge, of a mother with quiet strength and a bottomless store of love. Lucas listened to every word, asking small, careful questions that made Lily feel he truly cared about the people who mattered to her. Not out of politeness, but with the focused tenderness of a man who had somehow been in her kitchen on a chicken soup evening. When it was his turn, Lucas opened drawers. He rarely touched the chill of boarding school, a dorm room so tidy it felt empty. The long dining table where his parents' chairs were more often vacant than full. Expectations that wore like heavy armor, and the isolation of success when people only saw your balance sheet and never your heart. Lily didn't judge. She looked at him with understanding. And with something else too, a faint light that looked a lot like love. Funny, Lily said, after he described his first terrifying board meeting at 18. When I looked you up, I thought you'd be scary in person, powerful, overwhelming, the kind of man whose entrance changes the air. She took him in. The fine laugh lines at his eyes, the way he listened with his whole body, the matter-of-fact way he'd swept up the spilled sugar as if it were nothing at all. Now, I think you're someone who had to be strong to survive. But underneath the armor, your heart is very soft. Something in Lucas's chest cracked gently. Lily, yes, I need you to know this. He leaned in, voice dropping to something intimate. I've dated people who wanted my money, my connections, my presence beside them for attention. No one has ever looked at me the way you do. How do I look at you? As if you see me, the real me. Not the version in magazines, not the role I play in a boardroom. Lily's hand moved across the table before she knew it and came to rest on his. At the touch, a current ran up both their arms. Lucas turned his palm and threaded their fingers. I see you, she whispered. I've been seeing you for weeks. In every message, every question, every kindness you never performed for show. The man in front of me is the man I imagined. Lucas lifted their joined hands and pressed a soft kiss to her knuckles, his eyes never leaving hers. The tenderness of it made Lily's own eyes sting. I want to know everything about you, he murmured against her skin. Every dream, every fear, every moment that built the you who sits here now. We have time, Lily said, though a part of her wanted to pour her whole soul onto the little wooden table. Do we? Lucas traced lazy circles in her palm. Because it feels like I've waited a lifetime to meet you, and a few hours won't do. Lily's heartbeat quickened at the intensity in his voice. What are you saying? I don't want this afternoon to end. I want to take you to dinner, then walk the city until the sun comes up. I want to show you the places I love and hear about your places. I want to know whether you're as wondrous in the world as you are in our messages. And if I am, Lucas's smile was soft, but carried a promise that sent her pulse awry. Then, I will love you, completely and without escape. Lily's breath hitched. She had no word to tack on to that sentence, only the certainty that looking into his eyes and feeling his warm hand around hers, she had already traveled halfway there. Too much, Lucas asked, catching the overwhelm on her face. No, Lily blurted, just unexpected. I came here thinking I'd meet a friend, the man who pulled me back from the edge. And now? She looked at their interlaced hands, at the reverent focus in his gaze, at how her whole body hummed with recognition. Now, I think I'm in serious trouble. the very best kind. Lily lifted her head, smiling as though she'd chosen something. The best. She nodded. Dinner, a walk, everything. Lucas's answering smile was bright enough to light the cafe. Then let's begin. Their first date lasted 14 hours. Lucas took Lily to an old Italian place tucked into a quiet street, checkered tablecloths, wine bottles draped in candle wax. They talked through 3 courses and 2 bottles, as if they'd known each other for years. Lily told him about her first day of med school, so anxious she'd been sick in the car park. Lucas admitted that during his first big presentation, he was so nervous he accidentally called the board chair Dad. After dinner, they walked hand in hand through the streets, paused to listen to a saxophone player, breathe autumn leaves into the night, and peered into darkened shop windows. When the chill slipped in, Lucas shrugged off his coat and settled it around her shoulders. "You don't need to look after me," she said softly beneath a street lamp. "I want to—" He tugged the lapel into place. "I've never wanted to look after anyone the way I want to look after you." Dawn found them on a wooden bench by the river lily's head on Lucas's shoulder. They were both exhausted, but neither wanted the day to separate them. "I should probably go home," she murmured against his chest, not moving. "Probably," he said, kissing the top of her hair. "But I don't want to—" "What do you want?" He hesitated. "I want to wake up every day and understand you a little more. I want to hear your voice each morning and be the last person you talk to at night. I want to watch you become the doctor I know you'll be." "That's mad," Lily smiled, tracing his jawline with her fingers. "I know. We only met in person today. But with you, I feel like I'm home." When the sleek black car took Lily back, she still kept him on the doorstep for another hour, talking and laughing, until a light flicked on in her parents' window. "When will I see you again?" he asked. "When do you want? Now? Tomorrow? Every day?" "Tomorrow, I've got class advanced pathology at 9, clinical skills at 2. I'll pick you up at 4:30. You can't rearrange your whole schedule for me. What about the company? The company will survive. Right now, what matters is being with you." The next day, every buzz of her phone in class plucked a new note from Lily's heart. At 4:30, there he was leaning against his car with a bouquet of sunflowers, her grandmother's flowers. "How did you know?" "You mentioned it in a message," he said, a little proud. "You notice everything, don't you? When it's you, I do." It became a rhythm after class. There was Lucas. Some days they grabbed lunch at a tiny no-name spot. Some days they wandered through museums. Lucas watching Lily more than the paintings drawn to the way she met the world. One afternoon, Lily walked out of biochem and found Lucas deep in conversation with Professor Emily Wong, her greatest hero. "What's happening?" Lily asked. "Mr. Bennett was telling me about a research center his company is funding." Professor Wong smiled, focused on affordable medical devices for underserved communities. Lily spun to Lucas. "You fund medical research." A flush touched his cheeks. "It's nothing grand. I thought given your passion for those without access to care, maybe I should help." "Nothing grand," the professor laughed. "I'm certain labs would dream of a commitment like that." Lily's eyes pricked. He hadn't just listened to her talk about medical inequity, he'd done something about it. Not a showy check, but a foundation that could change lives. "Why didn't you tell me?" she asked as they left the building. "Because I didn't want you to think I was trying to impress you," Lucas said simply. "I did it because it mattered to you, not to make you like me more." Lily stopped and turned fully to him. "Lucas Bennett." "Yes, future Dr. Harper. You're about to make me love you completely if you keep looking at me like that." "How am I looking at you?" "As if I'm the best thing that ever happened to you." She stepped closer and set her hand over his heart. "Because you are," he said. Their first kiss happened right there in the middle of campus. Students flowing around them, Lucas's expensive car parked where it probably shouldn't be. The world kept turning, but for them, the axis had shifted towards something that felt very much like forever. Lily rose on her toes just as Lucas cupped her face in his hands. When their lips met, the noisy campus dissolved like morning mist. The first kiss was careful, as if they were afraid to crack something fragile they had only just named. Then Lily's fingers hooked the edge of his jacket, tugging him closer, and tenderness turned to urgency, a gentle hunger that had been ripening for weeks. Lucas wrapped his arms around her waist and lifted her a breath off the ground. Lily heard her heart beating fast as a small drum. They parted on a rush of breath, his forehead resting against hers. "That kiss," Lucas began. "Perfect," Lily whispered. "I was going to say life-changing, but perfect works too." He laughed, eyes lit. "We should move before we get a parking ticket," she panted, glancing at the bright red sign. "Worth the ticket," he muttered, though he set her down, his thumb stroking her cheek like a promise. From that day, Lucas folded into Lily's world like a tender habit. He showed up to study group, baffling her friends. A boss happily listening to pathophysiology as if it were a thriller. On long revision nights, he'd pass by the library with coffee and waffle cookies, claiming he was in the area. Though Lily knew he'd bent his calendar just to be in the area at exactly the right time. "You don't have to do all this," she said one evening as he helped her reorder flashcards. "I studied fine before you, but you don't have to do it all yourself anymore." Lucas looked up with a gentle smile. "Let me help. Let me be in your life." "You already are," she said, surprised at how easily the truth arrived. The biggest part, if I'm honest. Lucas's smile softened like a street lamp, laying gold on an old pavement. "Really, really, Lucas, I think about you constantly. In lectures, I catch myself planning how I'll tell you the best bit. When something funny happens, you're the first person I want to text. On bad days, I just want to hear your voice." He set the stack aside and slid into the seat beside her. "Lily, there's something I have to say." The seriousness in his eyes startled her. "What is it?" "I'm in love with you. No, if we're being precise, I am in love with you. Completely and without escape." Lily's heartbeat stumbled, then doubled. He went on, "I know it's fast that we haven't been dating long, but this isn't a detour. You're the destination. The thing I didn't know I'd been searching for." She looked into his blue-gray eyes and found nothing but truth and a tender kind of bravery. "Want to hear a secret? I'm breathing just to hear it. I was trying to figure out how to tell you I love you too." His smile broke open bright as morning. "Truly, truly," she said softly. "I love how you listen, as if every one of my dreams matters. I love how you remember the tiniest things. I love the way you set me at the center of a world that's always too loud." She leaned closer, voice low. "I love you, Lucas Bennett. Every part." This kiss wasn't shy. It was the fierce claiming of two people who had found a jewel they had no intention of dropping. His fingers slipped into her soft curls. She tilted into him like a flower seeking the sun. When they finally stopped, both breathless, Lily rested her head on his shoulder. "What now?" she asked, half laughing. "Now we build something beautiful," he said, arms tightening, "because our worlds are different, or maybe because they are. You make me want to be better, to use what I have to do more good. And maybe I can give you the resources to help even more people. We're really doing this, aren't we?" Lily tipped her face up, loving against the odds. "We're really doing this," he murmured, kissing her temple. Outside the window, the first snow began to fall, tucking the city under a white blanket. In Lily's small apartment in Lucas's arms, with the taste of promise still warm on her lips, she had never felt so safe. 3 weeks after their first "I love you," their rhythm settled like a favorite song, takeaway cartons, textbooks spread across the table, feet brushing on the sofa. Beneath the calm, a current hummed, through every offered jacket, every accidental touch, every shared glance in a crowded room. They honored boundaries neither had voiced, and the very care became a kind of sweet torment. On the last Friday of October, Lucas collected Lily with a secretive smile. "Trust me," he said, opening the car door. "I want to show you something." Lately, his somethings had been soft surprises, a private view at a gallery, a picnic in a hidden park, a one-on-one cooking class that ended in glorious disaster and aching laughter. This time, the car left the city winding up a hill. A tasteful wooden sign appeared. "Starlight Observatory." "What is this place?" Lily asked as they turned down a tree-lined drive. "Something I thought you'd love," Lucas said, eyes bright. "You once told me about stargazing with your grandmother." Lily's chest tightened. She had told him, late one night, how her grandmother had taught her constellations from a tiny backyard myth stitched to sky. At the summit stood a copper-domed building burnished by sunset. Inside, a private viewing deck opened onto a professional telescope and a pair of cushioned seats. "Lucas," Lily spun in a small circle, eyes shining. "I can't believe this. I made a donation to the astronomy department in exchange for borrowing the place tonight. he said, scratching his head a little shy. "The director's an old friend. I wanted to touch a memory of yours in the right way." Lily felt her heart expand into a larger room. Of all the lavish gifts he could have chosen, he had chosen a door back to her childhood. "You're wonderful," she whispered, taking his hand. "Let's wait for the dark," he smiled. "City lights don't reach up here." As if on cue, the sun slid away the sky, pulling on violet gold, then velvet black. Stars bloomed in clusters like gemstones, scattered across silk. Lily breathed. "Oh." They sat close on the twin seat, her head finding his shoulder. Lucas pointed out Orion Cassiopeia. Lily told the stories her grandmother had once breathed into her ear. Music murmured. Red wine gleamed in their glasses. "That's Andromeda," Lily said, tilting her chin to the glitter above. "Gran said she was the most beautiful in the sky. And brave, too." "Like someone I know," Lucas whispered against her hair. She turned, caught by the gravity in his voice. "You're like her," he said, lifting her face with his hand. "Unbelievably beautiful, but brave enough to face whatever comes, med school, money pressures, and me." "You're not a monster to be faced?" Lily smiled, breath unsteady under his gentle, fierce gaze. "Sometimes I feel like I'm from a different world," he said softly, "with no right to love someone as unspoiled as you." Lucas Bennett. Lily pivoted fully toward him, eyes steady and warm. "You're not a monster. You're kind, generous, and thoughtful. You make me feel cherished every day." "Lily," his voice grew rough, "I need you to know this. I've never loved anyone the way I love you. I didn't know I could hold so much feeling, until you arrived and remapped me in a way that makes me happy. I love you too, enough that sometimes it scares me," she confessed, chest full. "What scares you?" "That I need you too much, that you've become part of me, so much that I wouldn't know how to pull us apart." His thumb traced her cheek, and Lily leaned into it like a bloom into sunlight. "You don't have to pull away. I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. Promise," she breathed, fisting his jacket lightly. "Promise this is real. More real than anything I've ever known," Lucas said, certain. "You are the truest thing." Between them, the air crackled like static before a meteor shower. Lily heard each of his breaths, saw starlight shatter in her pupils. Up, where the city's noise fell silent and the sky stretched wide, she knew a promise had just been written into the Milky Way, and it carried both their names. The warmth of Lucas's hand on her cheek shrank the world down to just the two of them. His gaze darkened, not with night, but with resolve, and Lily's heart fluttered like a sparrow in a cupped palm. "Lily," his voice dropped to a near prayer, "I want to kiss you. Truly. Not the careful kind we've kept between us. I want to kiss you as if you belong to me." "I do," she breathed. That was enough to shake the last caution from their shoulders. The kiss fell like long-promised rain. It was no longer the timid touch they'd stolen on campus, but a disciplined urgency. Heart's leading reason following. Her fingers tangled in his hair. His arms drew her so near she could hear the drum of his heart. When Lily caught his lower lip gently between her teeth, he made a low sound in his throat that set her alight. "Do you know what you do to me?" he whispered between pauses. "Tell me," she answered, voice rough with feeling. "Mad, I think about you constantly, about holding you, keeping you, being your shelter." "You already are," Lily said softly as his mouth traced a promise along her collarbone. He eased back a fraction, both hands cradling her face, looking at her like a pilgrim at a sanctuary. "I want to cherish you inch by inch," he said, "to spend hours showing you how much you matter to me." "Then do," she whispered. His eyes deepened, then closed. He breathed in, foreheads touching. "Not here, not the first time. You deserve a perfect moment, not footsteps from a night watchman." She loved him more for that restraint. "Then take me home," she said, steady in a way that surprised her. "Yours or mine. I just want to be with you." "Are you sure?" "Surest I've ever been," she smiled. "I love you, Lucas." They left the observatory. The road down the hill lasted the span of a blink hands that refused to part quick kisses at red lights, the way he lifted her fingers to his lips, as if they were a fragile treasure. The elevator to the penthouse crawled. They stood close, leaving a sliver, just the width of breath, so the waiting could ripen. At the door, the corridor hushed. "Beyond this," Lucas said, pausing, "everything will be different." Lucas Lily turned to face him, eyes bright. "Everything changed the night I sent that message to the wrong number. You opened your heart before I could close mine. The rest, we'll do together." He smiled, touching her cheek. "I'm crazy about you." "Good," she whispered. "Because I am too." The door closed behind them, leaving the moonlit, snow-dusted city outside. Inside, promises were written in close-held embraces in laughter and low voices, details that belonged only to two people who knew them. They let the sky witness the parts that needed starlight and left the rest to their hearts. Morning found Lily waking in his arms as if she'd learned a new language overnight, one with a single vocabulary us. Lucas rubbed a laugh into her shoulder with his stubbled cheek. "Good morning, beautiful." "Will it always feel like this?" she asked, eyes half closed, Floaty reluctant to leave the covers as if no one else in the world matters. "That's the plan." He teased, then sobered, guiding her hand to his chest. "Last night was perfect." "Perfect," she echoed simply. Morning stretched into noon, talk of small things over poured coffee laughter at a burnt slice of toast. Happiness, it turned out, smelled like slightly bitter coffee and the clink of a spoon on porcelain. 3 days later, the quiet bubble was pricked by a needle called public opinion. Lily's phone buzzed while Lucas sat in a meeting. "This is Lauren Hayes, Seattle Tribune. Can you comment on your relationship with Lucas Bennett? Sources claim he's paying your tuition in exchange for the relationship." The words hit like a stone to the chest. Lily stammered a denial, then chose no comment when she realized any sentence could be twisted in another mouth. She hung up and called Lucas at once. "They think I'm a gold digger," she said bluntly, standing in the living room as if the floor were shifting. "What exactly did they say?" His voice flattened steel under velvet. She told him line by line until her own voice thinned to thread. "Lily, listen to me," Lucas said, each word steady. "It's garbage. We know the truth. But what if others don't? What if this damages your name? What if my medical career is questioned before it even begins? We face it. Together," he said. "I love you. That isn't a scandal. It's the best thing that ever happened to me." But the blows didn't stop. By evening, social media foamed with cruelty. A gossip blog splashed photos of them with an ugly caption. When Lucas arrived, he found Lily still, the laptop closed, her gaze fixed on nothing. "Bad?" he asked gently. "They're saying I seduced you for money, that it's all fake." "They're wrong," Lucas said, jaw tightening. "You and I know that. What about your partners, people who haven't met me? What if they think you're being manipulated by a calculating girl? What if the company takes a hit?" "I'm not trading you for the company," he said. "But I care." Lily lifted her eyes, tears coming and going like fine rain. "Your work matters. You create jobs. You use success to help. I don't want to be the reason anything crumbles." Lucas drew her into his arms. "What are you saying? Maybe we should step back. A few days, until it blows over?" "Absolutely not." His voice went low-edged with anger. "I will not retreat from the best thing in my life because of rumors. It's not just rumors, Lucas. It's my professional honor. What if the school doubts me? What if a future employer thinks I'm that kind of person? Then they don't deserve you," he said, unwavering. "Anyone who knows you won't believe that trash. Your tutors, your friends, your family, they know who you are. And the ones who don't." Lucas kissed her, pouring into it all his fury, tenderness, and a vow not to yield. When he drew back, he rested his forehead against hers, their breaths tangled. "I'm not losing you," he said, voice rough and sure as an oath spoken under stars. Outside, the snow began again. Inside, Lily felt her fear set down beside something stronger, faith. Between them, no matter how the storm blew from every side, there was a line pulled taut and unbreaking, braided from the one thing no chorus of strangers could touch: the truth they held for each other. "I don't care if I have to hire the best PR team in the country, buy out the paper that started this, or knock on every door to explain myself. I will not lose you." "Lucas, don't." He pressed his warm hands to her face, forcing their eyes to meet. 3 months ago, I was sleepwalking through my life. I had everything money could buy, except anything that mattered. And then a beautiful, clever girl sent a message to the wrong number. And I remembered what it felt like to live. Tears welled as Lily heard the naked truth in his voice. "You saved me, Lily. Not the other way round. Yes, I helped with tuition. But you gave me something priceless: love, purpose, a reason to wake up. You make me want to be worthy of the extraordinary woman who chose me. I do love you, Lily whispered. So much it frightens me. Then fight for us, Lucas pleaded. Don't let small minds win. Don't let them destroy what we've found. In those gray-blue eyes burned only love and will. This man was prepared to risk everything, reputation, partner's image, just for her. What do you want to do? The corner of his mouth curved into a smile, sharp as a blade, warm as the hand clasping hers. I want the world to see who Lily Harper really is, and why I love her beyond reason. How? Leave it to me, Lucas said softly, kissing her once brief and certain. Trust me. The next morning, Lucas held a press conference. From the wings, Lily watched him step to the podium, every inch the powerful tycoon, but speaking with the same warmth he reserved for her in the quiet of her kitchen. 3 months ago, he began, I received a message sent by mistake, from a young woman in crisis. I helped without thinking. That decision led me to the most important relationship of my life. Lily held her breath. Lily Harper is not with me for money. Lucas looked directly into the cameras. I supported her because she is extraordinary and deserves the chance to chase her dream. She is brilliant, dedicated, compassionate, and will be the kind of doctor any hospital would be lucky to have. His eyes spoke straight to her. Lily didn't seduce me for money. She claimed my heart with her kindness, her strength, her unshakable integrity. She never asked for anything but the chance to give it all back. She is the most honorable person I have ever met, and I am proud to love her. When Lucas returned backstage, Lily flew into his arms. Either the most romantic or the most reckless thing you've ever done. Probably both, he grinned, but every word was true. I love you, she said, meeting his gaze. I love the way you protect us, fight for us, and never fear telling the world what we are. Then stay, he whispered, fight beside me. Her answer was a kiss that left no room for doubt. That night they clung to one another, pouring out fear relief and overflowing love. Outside, the city roared on. Inside, they chose a gentler language, silence closeness, until dawn pressed against the glass. By the following morning, the world was still loud. But the wind had shifted. The scandal was drowned by another story. A wealthy man defending the truth, a medical student celebrated for her talent. 2 months later, they were in the papers again. This time, as a power couple, and for all the right reasons. Lily launched into her final year with renewed energy. Lucas discovered his only true addiction was sitting at the back of lecture halls, watching his queen conquer each clinical case. You don't have to come to every presentation, Lily teased as they crossed the campus. Surely you've better things to do than listen to me drone on about cardiopathology. Nothing is more important than watching you become who you were born to be, Lucas said, kissing her hand. Besides, I've learned a lot. Did you know a broken heart is a diagnosis? Takotsubo Lily laughed. You really have been paying attention. Just trying to keep up with my genius girlfriend, he winked. Though I admit cellular respiration, I'll let my looks do the work. Lily shook her head, then softened. 6 months ago, I was worried about rent and textbooks. Now, I'm part of a leading research team. All because you believed in me. Because you're brilliant, Lucas interrupted, stopping to face her. I only opened the door. You walked through. The research center he funded was developing affordable medical devices for underserved communities. Lily was one of 5 students chosen for the pilot. Her project, a portable diagnostic tool, had already caught the eye of several major firms. Dr. Hannah Lee wants to submit my work to the International Journal of Medical Innovation. Lily whispered, awestruck. If it's published, I'll be a first author before I graduate. It will be, Lucas said firmly. Your work will change healthcare in remote places. Our work, Lily corrected gently. Without your support. I love your our, Lucas smiled. I want to be in every one of your dreams. A message pinged from Dr. Lee, urgent prototype, outperformed expectations. Need you now? I have to get to the lab. I'll drive you. At the research center, Dr. Lee was nearly trembling with excitement. The handheld ultrasound you designed? We tested it on 3 patients today. Image quality equal to machines 10 times the cost. Lily stared at the tablet-sized device, throat tight. We could bring diagnostics to remote villages, disaster zones, developing countries. She whispered, her voice like a dream given shape. Lucas stood beside her, watching her face glow, his heart swelling. Not with pride for himself, but for the woman he loved. "I hope you know how lucky you are," Dr. Lee said to him when Lily dashed off to call her parents. Skill, compassion, innovation. 30 years in research, I've rarely seen all three in one person. "I know," Lucas said, voice rough. "I know it every day." That evening, they returned to the old Italian restaurant, their first date. But this time, it was theirs alone, a string quartet playing softly white lilies covering the table. "This is too much," Lily said, eyes damp. "You didn't have to." "I wanted to," Lucas said, taking her hand. "Because I have something important to ask." Her heart thudded. What is it?" Lucas stood, then dropped to one knee beside her chair. Lily Harper. He smiled. The smile that had lifted her from the brink and placed her in the center of his sky. 6 months ago, a single message changed my life. You've made me a better man, a happier man. Someone who finally understands what love is. Lucas said, his voice low, in the hush of the empty Italian restaurant. "I love your clever mind and your tender heart," Lily whispered back, her smile trembling like candlelight. "I love the way you challenge me to be worthy of you, the way you see the good in everyone, even in me." Lucas slipped a hand into his jacket pocket and opened a velvet box. Inside, an emerald-cut diamond, haloed by smaller stones, glimmered like stars trapped under glass. "I want to spend every day watching you change the world. I want to be your partner, in dreams, in struggles, in victories. Lily Harper, will you marry me?" She looked at the ring, then at his face, saw in those gray eyes only love, hope, and a rare certainty. "Yes." She breathed, then louder. "Yes, yes. Of course, yes." With hands that trembled, Lucas slid the ring onto hers. He drew her to her feet and into his arms, sealing the promise with a kiss that tasted of forever. When they broke apart, they were laughing and crying all at once. "I love you so much," Lily said against his lips. "I can't wait to call you my husband, Mrs. Lily Bennett." Lucas tried the name, his eyes bright, as if someone had pulled Dawn closer. "Perfect." One condition, Lily teased, lips quirking. "Pod." "Anything. For the honeymoon. I want the observatory, where we kissed for the first time beneath the sky." "Done," Lucas chuckled. "But I warn you, I plan to keep you there for at least a month." "Only a month," she teased. "I was hoping longer." They sat and sketched a future in broad strokes, a spring wedding, a honeymoon, mixing starlight, with visits to underserved clinics, places where Lily's research might touch real lives. And one more surprise, Lucas said as they were leaving. "I've worked with the board to establish the Lily Harper Medical Innovation Fund." Her eyes widened. "Lucas, you can't name a foundation after me." "I already have," he winked. "It'll fund research into affordable medical technology for vulnerable communities. Everything you care about most. We're going to change the world." Lily breathed, her voice shaky with awe. "We already are," Lucas said, spinning her gently as the string quartet swelled. "Every day with you, my world gets better." On the way home, streetlights bounced off the diamond on her finger like Morse code tapping toward the future. His hand was warm in hers, the longest answer she could imagine. "A year ago, I was counting bus fares," she thought. "And now, I hold a promise in my hand." "A penny for your thoughts?" Lucas asked at a red light. "I was just thinking how perfect everything feels," Lily said. "Perfect because we're different, you with all your wealth. Me once worrying about every bus ticket. It's perfect because of that. You could have chosen any brilliant med student to worship you," Lucas said, half playful, half serious. "Once I was trapped in my own feelings," Lily replied, pressing her palm to his cheek. "But you're not closed at all. You're the most present emotional man I've ever known. You just open only for the right person." "Only for you," he murmured. "That's how I know this is forever." That night they spoke of the future in a language softer than words, small promises traced onto foreheads, long embraces. "My fiancé, Lucas," whispered cheek against her neck. "My future husband, Lily," answered her voice full of wonder and peace. Graduation day arrived, steeped in polished wood and bubbling excitement. Lily stood with her class heart beating its own proud rhythm, years of late nights, sacrifices, determination, now crowned by the word doctor. From the front row, Lucas's eyes shimmered. Beside him, Grace and William, her parents, dabbed at their tears. Zoe, 18 now, stylish with a film scholarship, filmed and cried at once. My daughter William whispered, voice cracking with joy. My baby! A doctor! Lucas laid a hand on his shoulder like family. You should be proud, he said, his own voice rough. Lily's name rang out. She walked across the stage, warm brown skin, glowing under the lights, her smile bright enough to light the hall. As the hood fell across her gown, she looked up, eyes finding the front row. Lucas mouthed, I love you. She smiled and sent the words straight back. Ladies and gentlemen, the dean announced, please welcome Dr. Lily Harper, outstanding, specializing in emergency medicine, committed to global health innovation. Applause roared, and Lucas rose to his feet, as if his own goddess had just been crowned. Afterward, he pushed through the crowd of friends and professors. Lily saw him and ran. Dr. Harper. He laughed, spinning her in his arms. Sounds perfect, she grinned, cheek against his ear. Everything is in its place. How does it feel to conquer the world? Like I'm ready to conquer the next thing, she winked. Dr. Thompson wants me to present my research at the Geneva conference next month. Then we'll go to Geneva, Lucas said instantly. I'll ready the plane. Our plane, Lily corrected, holding up her ring to catch the sun. Remember, what's yours is mine, and you are mine, since the day you sent that message. That evening, in a warmly lit private room of a fine restaurant, Zoe tapped her spoon against the glass. Speech. Everyone fell silent. Eyes on Lily. A year ago, I thought my dream had died. Lily began, her voice strong. I thought I'd lost everything because of one mistake, but that mistake led me to the love of my life. She looked at Lucas, his eyes glistening with a sky of their own. You didn't just save my dream. You made it bigger, bolder, more beautiful. Lucas wrapped an arm around her and answered before the applause. And you taught me that success isn't measured by deals, but by love, by the lives we touch, by the difference we make together. To love which changes everything. William toasted, glass raised. To love which changes everything, the room echoed. Late that night, Lucas drove Lily back to the observatory, where once the stars had spelled their names. This time, the dome glowed with thousands of tiny lights, as though the constellations had lowered themselves within reach. Lily tilted her head back, her smile unfurling like the Milky Way. Beside her, Lucas squeezed her hand and whispered, Ready for forever. I've been ready, she said, since the moment I sent the wrong message. Wrong, and yet the truest thing, he smiled. Not wrong, Lily leaned her head on his shoulder, eyes half closed beneath the stars. Destiny. Lucas, Lily whispered as they walked along the lantern-lit path. What is all this? Here he stopped on the very spot where he'd once knelt to propose, is where we'll marry. Tomorrow. Lily spun, eyes wide. Tomorrow. But we planned for next month. Flowers, guests, everything. It's all ready. Lucas grinned, both mischievous and tender. Your parents know, Zoe knows, everyone who matters will be here. I just couldn't wait another month to call you my wife. The dress is already hanging in the observatory. Your mother helped me choose it months ago. You secretly planned a wedding. Not a secret wedding, he corrected gently. Our perfect wedding. Beneath the sky where we fell in love, with only family and closest friends. No press, no expectations. Just us and our vows. Tears spilled down Lily's cheeks as she looked around at the twinkling lights. Perfect, she whispered. Absolutely perfect. So, tomorrow will you marry me? Lucas asked, eyes suddenly vulnerable. I'd marry you right now, if you asked. Lily laughed through her tears. I've been ready since the day you told me you loved me. The next evening, as the sun dipped behind the hills and the first star blinked awake, Lily walked the petal-strewn aisle toward the man who had remade her world. Her ivory silk gown flowed like a river, making her seem like a goddess stepping from legend. Lucas stood at the altar, gripping the wooden edge to stop himself from falling at the sight of her. You are breathtaking, he whispered as she placed her hand in his. You are everything, Lily answered, and they wept before the ceremony had even begun. Zoe was her bridesmaid, Lucas's old college friend, his best man. Lily's parents sat in the front row beside Lucas's mother, who had flown in from New York already plotting how to spoil the grandchildren not yet born. Officiating was none other than Professor Thompson, Lily's mentor, who had registered online just to stand here today. We gather under the stars to witness two souls joined by the most beautiful mistake, he began. The story of Lucas and Lily reminds us that sometimes the universe conspires to let two people change each other's lives. Lucas spoke first. Lily, 11 months ago, you thought you were texting your father. But in truth, you answered a prayer I never knew how to voice. You saved me from a life of emptiness. You are my heart, my home, my purpose. I vow to love you fiercely, to lift your dreams with all my strength, and to walk beside you as we change the world. You are my miracle, and I will spend every day proving how precious you are. Sobbing, Lily needed a moment before she could reply. Lucas, you've taught me that love isn't about finding someone who accepts us as we are, but someone who makes us the best version of ourselves. You didn't just help me reach my dreams. You gave me new ones. You are my anchor, my wings, my greatest adventure. I vow to love you completely, to challenge you endlessly, and to build a life worthy of the gift we've been given. I choose you every day for the rest of my life. When they kissed as husband and wife, the sky seemed to brighten as if the universe itself applauded. Their families cheered, but Lucas and Lily saw only each other, bound in an unbreakable promise. The reception was intimate music beneath the stars' toasts that left everyone crying happy tears. But the most magical moment came when they slipped away, returning to the telescope where they'd shared their first kiss. Mrs. Bennet, Lucas murmured, swaying with her to music only they could hear. Dr. Mrs. Bennet, Lily laughed. I get to keep both titles. And I wouldn't have it any other way, Lucas whispered, spinning her beneath the dome of stars. How does it feel, being my wife? Like coming home, she answered simply. Like every hardship was worth it because it brought me here. Sometimes I'm afraid, Lucas confessed, forehead resting against hers. Afraid because I love you too much. Good Lily smiled, radiant as the heavens. Because so do I. And for the next 60 years, I'll prove it. That night in their honeymoon suite inside the observatory with floor-to-ceiling windows open to the cosmos, they gave each other everything, wild and tender, urgent and reverent. Promise me one thing, Lily whispered, her wedding gown pooling like silk moonlight on the floor. Anything. Promise we'll never forget this feeling. The perfection of love, of gratitude for the wrong text that led us here. I promise, Lucas said, kissing her temple. But I don't believe it was wrong. It was destiny. Destiny. Out of billions you sent your message to me. You found the man who needed you most. Lily lifted her head, seeing their whole story reflected in his eyes. You really believe that? I believe you were born to be mine. Every choice, every turn, every mistake, and every triumph led us here. Then I suppose I should thank the universe for making me so good at texting the wrong number. Lily laughed in his arms. The universe. And your habit of texting while crying? Lucas teased, laughing too. They fell asleep wrapped around each other, starlight all around. Their love had begun with a misplaced message, but it would write decades more, children raised in kindness foundations that changed the world. Medical breakthroughs born in humble labs. Most of all, the way they fit together like the final puzzle piece. The way they made each other better. The way love transformed two wandering souls into something whole, beautiful, and everlasting. A year ago, Lily was a struggling student sending a desperate message to the wrong number. Tonight, she was Dr. Lily Bennet, wife to an extraordinary man ready to change the world with the strength of their love. As Lucas had promised on their very first date, it was the most beautiful trouble, and it was trouble built to last, forever. The following spring, the little garden outside their porch bloomed gold with sunlight. On the windowsill, sunflowers tilted their faces toward the sky, as though smiling at the two figures seated on the wooden bench. Lily rested her head on Lucas's shoulder, a research manuscript with scribbled notes and crossed-out lines in her lap. In his hand, a cup of tea, long gone cold. They didn't need to speak. The silence was enough. On the small table before them, Lily's phone lit up with a stream of congratulatory messages. From friends, from colleagues, from future patients waiting for the change her work promised to bring. Quietly, Lucas picked it up, silenced the notifications, and set it back down. They can wait, he murmured. This moment can't. Lily lifted her head and found that smile. The same smile that had appeared when he stood on a press stage facing the world. The same smile that lit a sterile research lab. The same smile that once pulled her back from despair. But here it was softer, simpler. Do you remember? She whispered, how all of this began with a wrong text. Not wrong. Lucas shook his head, brushing a strand of hair from her cheek. The universe knew you needed someone to believe in you, and I needed you to teach me how to love again. In that instant, Lily understood that true love wasn't in grand parties or lofty promises, but in a quiet morning where two people sat side by side, utterly certain they were home. And sometimes one mistyped message was enough to rewrite an entire life.